Okay guys, today we're going to talk about some other parts of Australia. So here we have a picture of a beach in Australia with a kangaroo. So first, let's talk about the location of Australia. Australia is in the southern hemisphere, and because it is south of the equator, the seasons in Australia are opposite to those in Europe. So when it's summer in Europe, it is winter in Australia. And when it is winter in Europe, it is summer in Australia. And you can see Australia is green down at the bottom right-hand corner. Australia is the 6th biggest country in the world. It is an island surrounded by water, and it is the smallest continent in the world. You can see that it is separated into Western Australia, Northern Territory, South Australia, Queensland, and Victoria, and then right at the bottom we have Tasmania. And as you can see, the 7 territories are laid out here. So in green, we have Western Australia. In brown, the Northern Territory. In red, South Australia. In yellow, Queensland. In blue, New South Wales. And in orange, Victoria. And you can see that Tasmania is also at the bottom. There is also Papua New Guinea, which is shown on the map on the right. The history of Australia is that James Cook discovered Australia in the 1770. And this meant that he came to Australia and found it. Britain sent prisoners and criminals to Australia, and Europeans sold the land of Aborigines and killed thousands of them. This means that before 1770, Aboriginals lived in Australia, but Britain came and claimed it. So, James Cook discovered Australia in 1770, but Britain sent prisoners and criminals to Australia, and they sold the land and killed thousands of the Aborigines that already lived in Australia. These are the Aborigines. They are native Australians, which means they were born in Australia and have lived there from the beginning. The Aborigines have lived in Australia for over 40,000 years. And now the total population of Australia is 22 million. Some of the cities that are important in Australia is the capital city of Canberra. Canberra. Can you say it? And another famous thing is Sydney, where the Sydney Opera House is. Sydney's Opera House is very famous because of the weird-shaped building. Opera is a type of music. Other important cities are Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Perth. And you can see here that they are all big cities with water. Now here are where the major important cities are. So you have Perth in Western Australia, Darwin in the Northern Territory, Adelaide in South Australia, Cairns and Brisbane in Queensland, and Canberra and Sydney in New South Wales. We also have Melbourne in Victoria. Some of the geography facts about Australia are that there is a very famous landmark called Ayers Rock or Uluru. Uluru is what the Aboriginals call it, and it is sacred to them. It is very popular with tourists because of the beautiful orange colours, and it is surrounded by desert. It is very popular and famous around the world. So that is Ayers Rock or Uluru. The Australian flag is very, very famous, and it has two flags because it is an Australian flag, but on the Australian flag is the Union Jack, which represents the British colony, because it was the British that came and found it in 1770. Now, there are also stars on this flag, 5 of which symbolise stars in the sky. And the big star is the Commonwealth 7-pointed star, which represents the 7 territories. Great. So that is the Union Jack flag, which represents the British, 5 Southern Cross stars that represent stars in the sky, and the Commonwealth 7-pointed star, which represents the 7 territories. The currency in Australia is the Australian dollar, and you can see them all here. The colours are pink, blue, red, orange and green. And here you can see a $1 coin that has kangaroos on it. How cool! And finally, Australian sport. Australia is usually very warm, so Australians love sport and other outdoor activities. The most popular are scuba diving, cricket, surfing, and swimming. However, rugby and American rules football are also very, very popular and are very famous around the world. Great.